The Browns are stuck in that weird, exhausting place where every decision feels like choosing between two bad exits: steady with the status quo or blow it up and finally find out whether the roster has anything real under the hood. After a 27-20 loss to the New York Jets, head coach Kevin Stefanski made the call his critics expected. Dillon Gabriel stays the starter, and Shedeur Sanders will keep waiting. AP News, that sentence, simple on the surface, has a bunch of teeth to it. Gabriel's stat line Sunday, 17 of 32, 167 yards, 2 TDs, 6 sacks, wasn't a train wreck, but it wasn't the kind of performance that calms the noise. The bigger issue is context. Cleveland's offense is anemic. The special teams gifted 2 touchdowns to the Jets, and the Browns sit at 2-7 with a roster that looks, at times, like a team trying to remember what it is supposed to be. The post-game feeling wasn't, "we'll fix it." It was, "please, someone just make a decision." Cleveland Browns Stefanski's "we're going to stick with Dillon" line is the kind of message a coach gives when he wants to buy time for development, and when he still believes the roster-building choices that put Gabriel here were defensible. But there's another line of logic. When your season is essentially gone, the rational move is to test the other option. Fans have noticed that. Media has noticed that. Even some guys in the locker room have started to sound weary of the back and forth. The coach, though, is trying to thread a needle. Keep supporting your young starter while also keeping an eye on the long game. AP News, here's the key detail that changes the tenor of that needle. Shedeur Sanders is not getting first-team reps in practice. That's not an open question. It's a clear signal. Stefanski's staff has Gabriel taking the top reps and Sanders working behind him. It's a pretty explicit vote of confidence in the third-round pick. If your objective is to see what Sanders can do in live game conditions, you normally give him more reps in practice so the coaching staff can evaluate him in real time. That isn't happening right now. ESPN.com. And until the Browns change that approach, the whole give Shedeur a shot movement is going to be mostly performative. Angry comment threads, talk radio heat, and a few column inches. But performance in the NFL isn't driven by narratives alone. It's driven by reps, scheme reps, third down reps, red zone reps, the subtle, boring stuff that turns a rookie into a viable starter. Right now, Cleveland's structure says they prefer the slow path. Whether that's courage or stubbornness depends on who you ask. NFL.com complicating everything further. Deshaun Watson's return to practice window remains closed. The Browns are not opening Watson's 21-day practice window this week, which preserves roster flexibility and buys the team more time to decide what to do next. But it also means there isn't an obvious veteran patch to drop on top of the mess if Gabriel struggles. In short, no Watson for now, no Shedeur first-team reps. Giorno's pizza-sized hole in the middle of your season remains. X, formerly Twitter. So what's actually happening here? There are 3 practical threads to pull on. First, the conservative roster move. The Browns drafted Gabriel in round 3 because they liked his processing and experience. They selected Sanders later when the value was there, but the brass apparently still views him as a prospect who needs seasoning. Sticking with Gabriel means Cleveland is betting on process over panic. That's defensible. A change for the sake of change rarely helps. But it's only defensible if the coaching staff is making real, measurable progress. The offensive production so far suggests they aren't. AP News second. The optics problem. Fans don't like waiting. They want answers. When a rookie with first-round buzz sits on the bench while a mid-round pick struggles, the social media mob begins to smell incompetence. That can quickly morph into calls for Stefanski's job, for the front office's head, for wholesale change. The Browns already owe fans patience. They were a playoff team not long ago, so this season is testing that goodwill. The longer the team stalls, the more pressure will ratchet toward radical action. TalkSport third. Real football trade-offs. If the Browns truly want to know if Shedeur is the answer, they need to set up practice work that mimics game conditions for him, and they need to accept the short-term growing pains that follow. The alternative is to keep riding Gabriel, hope the offense gets fixed in coaching adjustments and scheme tweaks, and head into the offseason with a clearer picture for 2026's draft. Neither path is guaranteed to work. Both have real costs. ESPN.com short-term forecast. Gabriel starts against Baltimore next. The Ravens are a measuring stick. Lamar Jackson led teams exposed shaky offensive lines, and Cleveland allowed 6 sacks to the Jets Sunday. If Gabriel gets battered and the Browns lose convincingly, the pressure to flip to Sanders will spike hard and fast. If Gabriel is average and the Browns show improved situational play, Stefanski will be lauded for patience. That's how binary the narrative has become. Cleveland Browns, for Shedeur, the honest assessment is this. He's playing the long game. He slipped to the 5th round despite first-round buzz, but he's on a roster that has reasons to be cautious about burning a young signal caller. If he's the real deal and the tape shows flashes, he'll get his chance. The question is, when and under what cover? Will Cleveland wait until next year and test him in a more measured plan, or will the team panic this winter and try to trade for a short-term fix? Either answer reshapes his career trajectory. NFL.com, what should Browns fans expect in the next 7-10 days? Watch the practice reports. Watch who's getting first-team snaps. If Stefanski opens Watson's practice window or reassigns reps to Sanders, that will tell you the front office has shifted. If nothing changes, the team is banking on incremental fixes with Gabriel and hoping to salvage evaluation for the offseason. Both choices are rational. Neither is pretty. X, formerly Twitter. Final thought. This is less about one player and more about organizational conviction. The Browns are at a pivot point. Do they double down on their plan and live with short-term pain for a possible long-term payoff? Or do they rip the bandage off now and accept the chaos that comes with rapid change? Kevin Stefanski picked the slow lane for the moment. Whether that road leads to redemption or regret will be decided not by the next tweet storm, but by the next 3 games and the practice reps you can't hear on the highlight reel. AP News stats, quotes and reporting drawn from Cleveland Browns game recap, ESPN reporting on practice reps, Mary Kay Cabot's reporting on Deshaun Watson's practice window, and coverage of Dillon Gabriel's recent nomination for Rookie of the Week. Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski made it clear on Friday Shedeur Sanders remains the backup for now, and he's not taking first-team reps. The Browns, fresh off a 27-20 loss to the Jets that dropped them to 2-7, are keeping rookie Dillon Gabriel as their starting quarterback while Deshaun Watson continues rehabbing an Achilles tear. Gabriel's 5 starts have yielded mixed results. 102 completions on 174 attempts for 869 yards, 7 TDs and 2 INTs, and only 1 win over Miami. Those numbers haven't quieted the fan base, which has increasingly clamored to see Shedeur get a look. Stefanski's Friday update, reported by ESPN's Daniel Oyefusi, confirms the coaching staff still values Gabriel as the short-term answer. The coach praised Sanders' work but said nothing has changed in practice reps. Sanders is still not receiving snaps with the starting unit. That signals the Browns are choosing continuity and development over an immediate change at the position, at least for the moment. A reminder of context. Sanders was expected by some to go much earlier in the draft, but slipped into the 5th round, allowing Cleveland to add him as a developmental, low-risk asset. He's shown promise in limited preseason action and has remained ready, but the staff appears reluctant to thrust a rookie into a struggling offense midseason without a larger plan. The decision leaves the Browns at an inflection point. If Gabriel steadies the offense and produces wins, Stefanski's patience will look prudent. If struggles continue, pressure will mount quickly to give Sanders a real audition. With Cleveland facing Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in Week 11, the coming game is a short window to either build confidence in Gabriel or amplify calls for change. Bottom line, Stefanski is buying time for Gabriel, for Watson's recovery timeline to clarify, and for Sanders to continue his development off the spotlight. But in a 2-7 season, that time is a dwindling commodity. Only results in the next few weeks will determine whether the Browns keep the current course or pivot toward their other rookie option.